I believe there's about 1 million people in England alone that practice witchcraft.
Hell, I guess I can't make fun of him either, since he could probably kick my ass.
Are all over the place with their covens. If they're not...
Imagine putting that shit on your resume.
The Pagan Invasion is an explosive new 13-part video series providing a thorough behind-the-scenes examination of today's New Age movement.
The first unbelievable thing about this video is the phone number is still in service.
Thank you for calling Jeremiah Films.
You can still order this very film.
If you'd like to place an order, please press 1 between the hours of 9 and 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Who would have thought? What the hell is that satanic writing? Trying to slip in their own hidden messages? My god, this looks like the early prototype polygon levels of Superman 64.
Then there's no time to waste.
What might have been cutting-edge tech at the time of its release is now certainly laughable by modern standards. It just looks like an old-ass computer game. Points on the cool font, castle, and mountains approach, which, you know, are things you see in role-playing games. Another thing groups like this just love to vilify. It's kind of hypocritical they're allowed to use cool images, since it's all in the name of Jesus. But write an imaginative story about a wizard who saves a princess from that very castle? Huh. Devil worshiper. I guess charging what? Probably like $19.95 for this thing back then when, you know, the suicidal tendencies approach was all the rage. Yeah, using castles and lightning and evil fonts and shit is totally cool to sell your message about Jesus. Just don't make a fucking rock and roll album cover with that shit on it, or we'll sick tipper gore on your ass.
Unfortunately, some very explicit sexuality, and some people would call it pornography, in some of the rock music, yes.
Whoa. This is a little too cool to be in this video. I want to hang out with these guys. This isn't scaring me away from paganism. Pagans can break boards? Daniel's not a pagan? Alright. Let's just get into it.
Halloween is a festival that conjures up images of ghosts, skeletons, black cats, witches on broomsticks, and little costumed children scurrying about the neighborhood.
Trick or treat!
Well, in safer times anyway.
For many entrepreneurs, Halloween is big business. This one well-known department store chain will sell more than $500 million worth of Halloween paraphernalia this year.
Shit, I know it. Audrey and I were 10% of that customer base.
We would buy everything in here, wouldn't we?
Yes.
Farmers also view Halloween with an eye toward making big profits.
Those goddamn farmers trying to make an honest living selling fruit or vegetables, however you look at it, for a fucking harmless holiday.
Pumpkins are a traditional Halloween accessory used by households nationwide as jack-o'-lantern decorations.
Let's oppress them.
This one Southern California field of only 164 acres will yield nearly $250,000 to its owner.
Yeah, we better shut this shit down in the name of Jesus, all while not paying taxes ourselves.
Halloween is manipulated by the promoters of horror movies and videos as a major marketing opportunity. While horror films used to be synonymous...
$9.99 for fucking corpse grinders? Where the hell was this store in my youth?
Today they account for nearly 20% of all of the revenue received by feature film producers.
He just gives a long-winded speech about Hollywood making a fortune off of marketing the holiday. No shit. So are you.
Hollywood is continuing to capitalize on society's growing craving for the occult and demonic.
People are so hyper during the day, they need to come home and watch something that's like totally unreal so they can release themselves from all the pressures.
Sanest person in the video.
Well, we think it's pretty fun. A lot of people just like it because it's fun, it's wacko, it's not real, and so it's just the type of thing that people like to watch because you don't have to think reality when you watch it.
I respect on them for at least giving the opposing side their voice in all this. They also go on to claim that many movies were responsible for real-life murders, much like Manson and his music have long been falsely accused of enticing the events of Columbine.
Definitely can see why they would pick me.
Shifting the blame, basically.
Many of the scenarios from the horror films are duplicated in copycat crimes, which make for sensational headlines.
Even crazier is some dude gives an interview about his childhood and Satanism. It just goes off the fucking rails.
There was a lot of sexual abuse that took place and a lot of blood that was spilt over us, joining us together.
Yeah, cramming Dahmer's story right after the horror bits was deliberate.
A lot of animals were killed. They summoned Lucifer and his spirit to come and possess me. They had her feet spread apart, her legs, and they were taking the blood that was running out of those areas and putting them into chalices. That's not just an isolated event.
My God. I wasn't prepared for that.
Heinous crimes connected with the occult, according to police, are reaching epidemic proportions.
It sucks because I know these things did and do happen, but it's not an epidemic. It wasn't then and it isn't now. See, I can't make fun of these people. That would be rude. I don't want to make fun of their religion.
These are not actors or reenactments. They are real.
You gotta be respectful to high-ranking officials like Archdruid Philip over here.
And it was here that the Druid Order was inaugurated in its last most recent cycle, externally and internally with that stream of ancient wisdom and knowledge.
Sharing the Druidic tradition of nature worship is witchcraft. The title witch is from the Saxon word Wicca, meaning the one who practices sorcery.
Now go back to sleep. This shit stopped being funny a long time ago. God, I was wrong. She looks like the Statue of Liberty and Moonchild.
So mote it be.
Now next up, we're going to hear from a third-generation witch and Wiccan priest herself. So, God, I bet a woman like that's experienced. She's probably got, like, a cool witch name, huh?
I have been a witch for as long as I can remember.
Patricia? That's my grandma's name. I'm not even joking. She barely gets a word out, and then Roger, what, were you expecting some cool witch name for him?
There has been a great revival.
I believe there's about 1 million people in England alone that practice witchcraft.
Hell, I guess I can't make fun of him either, since he could probably kick my ass.
Are all over the place with their covens, if they're not.
Imagine putting that shit on your resume.
There are probably now as many people.
God, imagine being the camera guy who filmed this. Going home and your wife asks you, how was your day?
They are paganistic in their ways.
And finally, someone with a cool witch name appears, and honestly, by this point in the video, the church's message is falling short.
Regarded myself as a witch since early childhood. I was brought up in a very isolated part of the country.
I came here for a propaganda piece, goddammit. A smear campaign. Everyone they present, albeit a little crazy, just seem to have different interests. I don't see anyone here eating kids and sacrificing virgins. Seriously, the church was all, "Brr, Halloween bad, eat children, Satan." And these druids are all Mr. Van Driesen over here, just planting trees and shit, talking about saving the planet.
In many ways, to bring you back to nature, to bring oneself back to nature, and to learn how we fit in with the natural scheme of the universe and the natural scheme of the earth.
How many trees and how much oil did the church waste making these damn tapes? I know whose side I'm on.
But I think the time is coming now where we have
to
take the responsibility by the throat and actually get out there and say...
He's going to be the Manson, isn't he?
There are answers here. I'm not prepared as a pagan, as a priest...
Oh, God.
...and as a practicing witch to sit back and see my planet, my mother, raped.
Oh, God.
Halloween is often confused as a Christian holiday because of its association with Christian All Saints' Day.
Yeah, see, and just like that, we're back on the Halloween thing. Transition much, Mr. Editor?
The original Christian dedication used to be celebrated in May and was intended to honor those Christians who died for their faith. But by the 9th century, the influential Roman Catholic Church...
Next up, we hear from Sally, Witch Queen of Kent.
I can't really say when I became interested in Wicca.
How does that work? Do they have a vote? I'm serious. What is the process? What is the goddamn process?
Because it's always been part of me. Part of my roots.
Is there a ballot?
We dress up the house with cobwebs and so on, and we cast a circle. And we have a smoky cauldron, and we all scry, which means do clairvoyance, into the smoke which comes out of the cauldron. And we open the gates of the underworld. And if any spirits want to come forward and speak, we listen to them.
Oh, come on. That is a bunch of fucking nonsense. Look, I have lucid dreamed, and I have astral projected. And I know a lot of you out there just now went, that is a bunch of fucking nonsense. I admit, as a human, we don't know everything, okay? Energy is strange. Who am I to say there isn't ethereal and spiritual energy and the like all around us at any moment? But cut it with the opening doors mumbo-jumbo bullshit. This ain't Beetlejuice.
You didn't actually think that was going to work, did you?
There ain't no tried and true book of the recently deceased any of us can just read from and call forth the damned. If there was, I'd have read about it all those years ago at my checkout counter at my local grocery store. You know, the one with, like, Bat Boy on it and all that shit.
You do a lot of meditation with the arts, and you get onto this higher plane. It becomes less physical and more mental.
I gotta be honest, I didn't come here for a fucking history lesson on this shit. I just wanted to laugh.
I am aware of a hierarchy of spiritual advisors who live on another plane of consciousness.
Respect to the filmmakers, though, for the effort put into this, even if I find the message laughable.
Whoever else you call doesn't actually materialize. You can't see them in the physical sense, but mentally you know that they are there.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
One young woman, a nurse, was possessed by, I don't know what it was, but a horrible voice came through her.
Yeah, I saw that shitty movie too.
You can't give in!
We need to get her to fight from the inside!
Don't let her do this to you, okay? Don't let this thing do this. You gotta fight it.
Glenn, you've now been...
Oh god, not fucking Glenn again.
At the 1st of October, you go into the stores, you see the costumes, you see the mother with her little girl.
The gist of this is we need to stop Halloween because people like Glenn who were involved in their grandpa's bizarre-ass satanic rituals can't handle it when they see a couple of kids walking around the neighborhood in a goddamn Scooby-Doo mask. Pussies.
We go now to a special report from noted author Hal Lindsey.
Hal Lindsey? Noted author, huh? I looked into this dude. Check this shit out. Wikipedia says Harold Lee Lindsey is an American evangelist and Christian writer. He's a Christian Zionist and dispensationalist author and television host. He is most famous for writing a series of popular apocalyptic books suggesting that the rapture was likely to occur in the 1980s. Let that sink in. Now, on location at a site known for satanic rituals, I'm sure whatever falls out of his mouth is going to be a gold mine.
I believe that this country is experiencing a pagan invasion.
There it is! There it is!
I watched as this accelerated, not just in the West Coast, but around the country. When Charles Manson...
This thing happened, and then this thing happened, and if you follow the line that doesn't really connect, but if you look long enough, it kind of looks like it does connect, you'll see that it also caused this thing to happen.
This started a whole avalanche of satanic crimes.
I guess I don't understand who these productions were made for. The content they're in is like a feedback loop. It's like a big-ass echo chamber. It caters to a specific group of radicalized believers, leaving me hard-pressed to believe that people who weren't already swayed by this line of thinking would come away believing it.
All across the country, in secret little places, in the dark, there will be little babies sacrificed to Satan.
Yeah, especially coming from failed doomsday predictor Hal Lindsey.
You don't believe it? I know it's hard to believe myself.
Fuck's sake. Now, they lean hard into the notion that Satanism was and is ruining children's innocence all over the world, and while yes, there are wackos doing just that, and likely an even smaller percentage, you know, actually doing it in the name of Satan, it's a pretty common misconception that Satanism is about Satan. Interestingly enough, the main article on Satanism, according to Wikipedia, states that in the 1980s and 90s, the satanic ritual abuse hysteria spread through the United States and the United Kingdom amid fears that groups of Satanists were regularly sexually abusing and murdering children and their rights. In most of these cases, there is no corroborating evidence that any of those accused of Satanism were actually practitioners of a satanic religion or guilty of the allegations leveled at them. And no film like this, well, film used loosely, would be complete without a mention of Ramirez. You know, because he was into Satanism.
And think about the Night Stalker case here in Los Angeles, with Ramirez brazenly flashing the satanic symbol and saying, "Hail Satan," and holding up his palm with a pentagram.
The real Satanists, the hardcore Satanists, are involved in criminal activity, and for that reason they are going to try and look as normal as possible, the better to be able to deceive you.
Yeah, after unflinchingly reminding you of the atrocities that asshole committed, he implants the idea into your head that any motherfucker out on the street could be the next Ramirez.
They're doctors, they're lawyers, they're teachers, they're oftentimes people who are in positions of great influence over small children.
What a dick! Final thoughts come from, what was his name, kid? Chuck.
In a recent letter to syndicated advice columnist Ann Landers, a concerned parent wrote of a 4th grade teacher who had asked her students to write a short essay on what they would most like to do to celebrate Halloween.
You can't even imagine the turd sentence about to fall out of his mouth.
80% of her 9-year-olds expressed the wish to kill somebody.
What the fuck? Fucking Karen gives us more of a rundown on the history of Halloween and its connection to Celtic traditions. She even includes her references.
The World Book Encyclopedia says
the old days. I used to read the encyclopedia as a kid, no shit.
Perhaps the most sickening of all Druidic New Year practices were the human sacrifices which occurred at midnight. Adults and children alike would be thrown into huge fires while the celebrants danced around them in demonic fits of abandon. These were called bone fires, which is where we get the tradition of bonfires today.
Really? I'm gonna Google that shit. I'll be goddamned.
The Druids believed that black cats were reincarnations of the evil dead.
The evil dead?
Swallow this.
Bobbing for apples was...
Oh, come on, man. Don't ruin good old fun like bobbing for apples.
Part of the Druidic New Year sexual divination ceremony. The broomstick and witches' hats were originally considered phallic symbols. These objects supposedly transform the sexual energy released during orgasm into psychic energy.
Yeah, a bunch of women hopping around on brooms, rubbing them on their underside will probably do it.
Deuteronomy chapter 8.
Oh, God.
This isn't going to be about Jesus, is it?
If you don't know God, but would like to experience his life-changing...
Well, I don't feel like being preached to, and I'm sure you don't either. So that wraps up this episode of The Church versus Fun. If you want to see more of this shit, let me know down below. Ugh.
Within all of us, there is a God-shaped vacuum.